Hey, Coach Sid here. Welcome to my channel. And before I start this video, I want to kick it off by asking you a question. As you look at this body, by the way, this is my partner Frankenstein. He does have a name, it's a he. What are the major pillars of your body or the major foundation? I'm going to give you that answer. It's called your kinetic chain. So what I want to do today is I want to define what is the kinetic chain, what makes up the kinetic chain, and what is the functioning importance of those major joints. So what I need to do is I need to actually borrow a leg from my partner here, my homeboy here, Frankenstein. Thanks, bud. I promise I'll give it right back to you. Now, before I get into what makes up the kinetic chain, I want to define what the kinetic chain is. The kinetic chain is a network of what? Ligaments, tendons, muscles, and joints. What makes up the kinetic chain? Your feet, your knees, your hips, and your spine. And then I'm going to get into what is the functioning importance of the major joints. So let's start off with the foot. 26 bones, 33 joints, okay, 20 muscles, and the way that the foot moves is that when it goes up, that's called dorsiflexion. When it goes down, that's called plantar flexion. Now, the one thing that I want you to know about the foot is that that's just linear. That's linear motion. That's your running, your jumping, your standing, right? But when I turn this around, you have the ligaments. The ligaments are what connect the bones together. The tendons connect the muscles to the bone, right? So look, visualize your ligaments connecting from your toes, going into the arch, which forms the arch, into the heel, okay? Because this is where your joint is. This foot, this joint, is your most mobile joint in your body, believe it or not. And so often we only use it in a linear plane, as I mentioned those exercises, when in fact it moves in so many other directions. Many of our limitations, believe it or not, come from our feet. The pain that we feel in our knee, the pain that we feel in our hips and our spine, this is where a lot of your problems are starting right here. So now going back to the ligaments, they act as a shock absorber for when you do those other exercises that I just mentioned. And that joint is connected to the tibia, okay? Now, when you look at the next joint, which is your knee joint, the knee joint basically, it supports a lot of your weight bearing. And then not only that, it acts as a complex hinge. It's responsible for internal, external rotation, also flexion when that leg is straight, right? And the next thing that I want to discuss is your hip joint. Now, before I talk about the hip, when I worked in the clinic, a lot of you ladies, not to single you out, but you guys are known for having sticky hips. Many of you ladies are actually walking around with one leg longer than the other. If you don't believe me, measure it and then send me a comment going, Coach Sid, you were right. Why is that? Because your hip joint, which goes into that pelvis area down here, if you can see down below, you are not properly decoupling your hips. That's for another video, but essentially when you're going to engage in exercise, you should be properly warming up. Why? Because no matter where you have a joint, no matter where you have mobility, even in your shoulders or your elbows, you have this bursa sac. That bursa sac releases synovial fluid. That's what lubricates your joint. So let's just say this is the pelvis. It lubricates it. Now the joint, it moves also in internal, external rotation of the joint. If you do not properly warm up your joints, then what's going to happen is that bursa sac will stop producing synovial fluids. Have you ever noticed in the gym when you see these guys as they're doing their presses, a lot of times it's bench press, and they're grabbing their shoulders? Why is that? Because they're starting to damage their joints. They're going into the exercises too cold. So no matter what exercises that you're engaging in, people, I don't care if it's you're going to go for a hike. Warm up your feet, warm up your knees, warm up your hips, warm up your spine, warm up those joints that you know you're going to be utilizing when you're going to be performing movement of any kind. And if you don't, sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you, even for you young folks out there that feel like you're invincible. You're not. I've worked with 14, 15-year-olds that have the hips of a 6-year-old. Why? Because they're gamers and all they do is they sit down all day and they have major stagnation in their hips, knees, feet, and spine, the kinetic chain. So what I want to do next, and also I want to mention that that hip joint is attached to the largest, most strongest bone in your leg, which is the femur. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and set this down. And I want to discuss the spine. If you look at the spine right here, well, what I want to first do is I want to turn it around and to point out that you have 33 vertebrae, right? Upper cervical, which has its own curvature. You have the thoracic, lumbar, strongest part of the back, the coxsacral, iliac crest. If one part of your spine is off, it throws the rest of it off. One thing that I also want you to consider is that when you're warming up the spine, anytime that you're moving your arms around, believe it or not, you're affecting the spine. That's for another video. I'm not going to get into how you can properly warm up the spine today, but just take that into consideration when you are wanting to open up that spine. Now, what I want to do is I want to turn Frankenstein around one more time. I know I'm making you dizzy, buddy. I'm sorry. So if you look in here, you might have to zoom in, but if you look in here, these are called facets, right? The facets are responsible for what? Movement. In between the facets, you have these gel-type substances that do what? They act as absorbers for when you're running, when you're jumping, when you're doing those heavy squats. What's the primary function of the spine? It's to keep you balanced and to keep you upright. Have you ever walked down the street and you see somebody just hunched over and you think that maybe they're hungover? But I know that that's a bad joke, right? But in any case, it's because they have no more stability in their spine. So as I discussed, all these joints are important, people. So take care of your joints. Your joints are going to take care of you in the long run. Stagnation is real. It goes from, I worked with kids that have major stagnation all the way to obviously your elderly that have stagnation. A lot of that is due because of how we live in Western civilization. We do so much that's linear. Driving, long periods of time, sitting, eating, working, right? Everything that we do is so linear. You need to start getting out of that linear plane. Why? As you start to create space within the body, you become what's known as bulletproof. And so for those of you that are active, all the more reason, take care of those joints, and those joints will take care of you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Where are you suffering from stagnation in your body or limitations in the body? Let me know. I'll give you some helpful tips. One thing that you'll find out about me is that I'm not going to mislead you. And more importantly, subscribe to my channel if you like it. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy this video.